What? Jeez! Personal space! Can't just wake people up like that. Especially when they're pregnant and hormonal and are dreamers. She probably thinks you're an actual dragon or some shit coming at her from on high like this. Jeez! Back up! Rhaenyra know what she's doing. Do you know how easy it is to get the answers you want from somebody that's groggy and just waking up? You're all pliable and you'd say yes just to get somebody the fuck out of your face. But Rhaenyra's up in her grill going, hey, what you dream about? I saw that you were asleep. Dreams happen in sleep. What you dream about? Was it about Daemon? Was it about me? Was it about me? Rhaenyra, not everything's about you. Look at how happy she is. She wasn't thinking about you, Rhaenyra. She was thinking about escaping to her chicken farm on her majestic white horse. You know, a dream. A regular one. She only comes into Helena or Alicent's room when she wants something. She never comes in to just be like, hey, how you doing? I heard you're pregnant. Is everything okay? Nah, instead she's like, so what can you do for me? And I get it, she doesn't have time for like leisure stuff, especially like she haven't found the time to go and see her son. Cause here she is harassing Helena. She could be waking up her son and being like, oh my god, hi, it's been so long since I've seen you, and sent you away. You think she feels guilty for that? Helena's a real one. She wakes up and goes right to the arts and crafts. She does not care. And then, like everybody else, Rhaenyra takes away her arts and crafts. I don't think these people understand what turning people away is, or how that looks, or how that's perceived. Maybe just because they were turned away and they were like, we turned out fine. Daemon and Rhaenyra did not turn out fine. Yeah, I know this is what training with your sword looks like. Like he's training his stances and his, I don't know what the Western word for katas are, but that's what he's doing. It looks so silly that this dude that isn't built like Conan is throwing around a sword that looks like only Conan can wield it. Maybe Valyrian steel is really light, because we do see Ned has a badass claymore and he's not Robert Baratheon. Like, I don't know how these dudes are hefting these swords. They do a lot more lifting in a day than I do, so I get it. And he is jacked. He does have muscle. He is ripped. Aw, are you still not ready to be training? That's okay. Mommy's here. Alice does have magic, and the magic she's using here is messed up. If I'm Aemon, I'm absolutely not forgiving her for this level of bullshit, right? Like, yes, she's right about the mom coming here trying to kill him, but you're also not here to do something nice for him. Yeah, you probably think he's hot because, I mean, girl, who doesn't? And you probably think also you're running out of time. You're running out of Targaryens to seduce. But this is not the way you go about it, girl. This is just not the way you go about it. Because it seems like he was on your side. He was with you. You probably didn't need to do the trickery thing. Some people get greedy and just try to take too much. That's what I learned from Dark Souls. Don't be too greedy. Don't try to go in for that extra hit. Sometimes you just gotta wait and attack the boss again. It's something you learn in fighting games too. Is that real, Mom? That complicates things. They'll be coming round the mountain when they come. Criston gets to live out the rest of his day. Well, Criston gets to dead out the rest of his days as a head on a pike. And he doesn't get his song. He does get embroidered beautifully in that opening tapestry. I thought that was really nice considering he's a shithead. They even put a big Faith of the Seven Star around him, like, oh, he died as he lived. Unfortunately for him, that was on his knees. What news of the winter wolves? They'll be coming round the mountain when they come. The director of this episode really said, let the girls party. Lots of sapphic representation in this episode. Get it, girls. Oh, Adam doesn't know about her and Alan, huh? Cause she's all giggly, like, oh, he didn't tell you? Oh, poor Adam. It's past just a fling, bro. That was straight up ooh, he's gonna take me as his wife? Oh, it's over, Adam. I'm so sorry. Do you think this is what it's gonna be to turn Adam against Rhaenyra and them? Just having a broken heart is gonna be enough for him? And it's not just a broken heart, it's his brother. He would be right to just go, hey, screw these people. They didn't give me my rightful name. I'm Adam of Hull. I didn't even get to name myself. And Ormond's right at the end of the episode. There's no reason why Rhaenyra couldn't make them dragon lords, like lords for real with a castle and stuff. I get right now tensions are crazy, but she can be like, hey, once tensions dies down, I'm gonna make you a lord, I'm gonna give you some land, but I can't work it out right now. I got people for that. Talk to my people that I have for that. But I don't know, the coffers are empty. Can she afford people for that? Things are awkward between Aemon and his real mom after, you know, stuff that Alicent doesn't even know about. I bet she thinks it's very strange that she can't manipulate him and pull his strings like she used to be able to. He was getting harder to control because, you know, Vhagar, and she's figured, Vhagar's not here, so he's gonna be a lot easier, because Vhagar was the reason that he was so cocky and sure of himself. And also, he was pretty okay with the blade. And now everything about him is shaken, and he's very closed off and withdrawn, and Alicent's like, this is weird. And then she meets Alicent, and she's like, oh, okay. No, that makes total sense. Okay. My son has a girlfriend, and the girlfriend doesn't like me. It doesn't want the mother-in-law staying at the, okay, yeah, I get it. As soon as she clocked Alice, 2 and 2 was put together real quick. Hey, the sea snake's still alive. I was for sure he got murdered at the end of the last episode. The way that broad bowl cut dude stared into the camera, I was like, oh, that's a face like he's gonna kill him. If we're to assume that last shot is our vision from the sea snake's point of view, we're seeing that dude as, oh, he's about to pull out a knife and shiv me, especially with all the shivving going on in the background. I assumed he would also be shivved, but why shiv a perfectly good hostage? And then, you know, Ormond's like, you're not really a hostage. We're just gonna use you to shake up everybody. And they end up sending his finger mafia style. And once they murk him, they could just give his stuff to Ulf. I think what Ormond is thinking with his agreement with Ulf is that he can just go, all right, you're gonna neglect it, you're gonna get murdered, you don't know how to fucking sail a ship, you're gonna fail spectacularly with this much power so fast, and then we'll just take Driftmark from you and give it to somebody else. I'll probably take it. Ormond seems to be keeping this scheme all tied up tight, because you notice that these guys who are the closest to him are freaking out and going, Ormond's fucking crazy, and the Winter Wolves are almost here and we're toast, we're gonna be toast. Nah, it's fine. Ormond has another dragon, or he's securing another dragon. You'll be fine. But they don't know that because Ormond doesn't want them to know that, because loose lips sink ships. Ormond knows that if he tells either of them, it's probably gonna get out. So he's keeping it nice and secret into the chest. You probably shouldn't keep it from the dragon rider in the room, because if you introduce 2 random dragons, they're probably not always gonna get along immediately. As we see later with Sheep Stealer versus everybody else. Rhaenyra continues to alienate herself from her entire council. Alan gets a finger later, scaring the hell out of him. The tax man over here, he instituted a tax, or he wanted to, and nobody listened to him. And that was something that I was like, hey, maybe you should listen to the guy who's trying to help you with coin, actually help you with the coin. But Rhaenyra is so paranoid and so worried about me, how people perceive me. How do I look? Am I pretending to be a good ruler instead of just being a good ruler? Oh, my house is not in order and it's driving me so crazy. How about you start by getting it in order? I don't know. Big, I know the mess in your room looks big and messy, but you gotta attack it a piece at a time. But you actually have to attack it, not sit around and panic and fall into yourself, because once you do that, you've already lost, you've already failed. You gotta take a second. You've had a couple seconds to take, because you had enough time to go harass Helena and harass Alicent all the time. Those are the times you could be taking to go, okay, I need to sit down with each member of my council and figure out a 5-point plan to get shit back in order. Yes, we're gonna institute those taxes. Yes, we're gonna have Daemon go with you to enforce those taxes. We're not gonna order the Gold Cloaks to go beat up civilians. And fuck it, you know what, yeah. Lady Frey, fuck it, take Harrenhal, I do not care, get out, get away from me, get out. And from jump, that's what she should have did when this lady showed up and started getting up in her face. Like, excuse me, ma'am, I'm the ruler of this kingdom. Would you jump up into, like, your husband or brother's face like that? Then don't do it to me. As soon as she came at me with that shit, I would have been like, hey, take her to the dungeons for like 48 hours until she learns how to behave. Take her down to a black cell for like a day. Stop trying to have the appearance of a ruler and start ruling. I wish I could take away fealty points. Can I take away fealty points? Because I'm taking it away. Take away 2 fealty points from Rhaenyra. Being a guard in this castle must be dope, because you get all the juicy gossip straight up right there. You get to hear it all. I'm imagining once you're like 90 and you're getting old as a guard, you're like, I'm writing all this shit down, I'm selling it under a pseudonym or something, and I am making a mint from my family. That's an infinite money glitch, especially if you are no longer here in Westeros. You're kind of sworn to stay here forever though, so that kind of complicates things. But I'm sure they can find a way. I mean, the White Worm found a way. She found a way to work herself all the way up to this point. She's like, hey, can you do stuff for the small folk? And Rhaenyra is like, yeah, sure. And then she's the only person that she's yeah-suring. And that's because she's using her abilities as the White Worm to kind of coax the stuff out of Rhaenyra. She's being nice. She's giving her, you know, honeyed words, honeyed other things. And it's helping Rhaenyra loosen up and just go, yeah, sure, I'll do whatever you want. And the thing is, Rhaenyra knows that's happening and is still like, okay, but I'm only human. I'm gonna give in to this because I'm only human. Now that we both know that I know what you're doing, I think I'm gonna be the one in control during this transaction, if you will. Even though that's absolutely not the case. What that lady said was right. You don't forget the tricks of the trade that got you where you are. One of my favorite new things they do in this show a lot, and it's become a joke in just how often they do it, because it's usually funny every time they do it, and that's the Saturday Night Live awkward dinner. It's always funny, especially with this dude sitting at the head of the table, girlfriend, air quotes, on one side, mom on the other side. I want to hold hands with both of you because I'm freaky like that. And when they're both like, that's kind of weird. Like, Alicent takes her hand away pretty quickly, and Alice gets pissed off and goes, go get firewood. That's code for we need to talk in private. Because of how everything in this world is, every dinner is probably an awkward dinner. Especially when Alicent finds out that her son still thinks he's playing the Game of Thrones. He's like, nah, Rhaegar's not here. Your piece got knocked off the board, my boy. Also, Harrenhal's not exactly the world's best and most defensible position. This place has been annihilated by dragons before. It's not going to be a problem for dragons to destroy this place again. And for good this time. But it is an important place. It's where Aemon's grandfather was sworn in. Or at least where he chose his successors. This place is important. Even though most of it is in utter ruin. But I think Aemon is thinking, you know what, that's fine. I'll get some gold, we'll get some bannermen, everything will be fine. We'll rebuild this place. It's gonna be a magnificent sea. I don't know where the dragons are gonna hang out, maybe on the God's Eye Island, but that'll probably piss off the children of the forest, so probably not. But he doesn't know that. Alice does, but he doesn't listen to Alice. Sherlock Holmes once said, poison is a woman's weapon. And Alicent takes that to heart. She's like, you know what? This dagger that I've taken off the dead body of the only hot guard left in the castle, who is unfortunately now weirwood tree food, because weirwood trees eat people, or at least drink their nutrients, I think. But this is the perfect place for this guy to go. The thing is, I don't think he worshipped the old gods. I think he was a new gods kind of guy, on the basis that he has to take a new god's oath to be knighted. But that doesn't matter. The tree is like, hey, thanks for that. Here's a gift of poison. And in a way, Helena gave her mother also the weapon she needed to kill her brother. Remember how happy we were about getting rid of Kristen Cole last week? This week, we get rid of another asshole that's been hanging on for far too long, and that's Larys Strong. This does mean, however, that he's going to show up in another part of the story and be a nuisance there, but at least he's no longer going to be a nuisance to poor Aegon, because he was turning Aegon face for me. Aegon, the irredeemable jerk, has had some moments where you genuinely feel sympathy for him, and every time he's on screen with Larys, I feel that sympathy. When Larys is around, he diminishes this dude's character so hard. If this was a wrestling show and Larys was his manager, I'd break them up because he wasn't helping this guy grow as a wrestler. Yes, he tells him the truth, but he's also a pain in the ass and is also trying to use him. And I'm sure that Aegon by now has come to see that, especially now, bickering over what to do and like, oh, we have to do this and we have to do this. Aegon's like, look, enough, I'm tired. I'm just gonna go die in the woods with my dragon, facing the odds. I'm gonna go out like a G. So if you want to bounce, bounce. And Larys is like, it was the gif of that guy throwing up the peace sign and disappearing, only he came back for a little bit to go, unless you want me to stay. And then Aegon's like, nah, you're good. And he's like, all right, then I'm gonna double down. And this is why you can't just have Ulf show up with his dragon and have it hang out with Daeron's dragon, especially if you separate it from Hugh's dragon. You're just gonna have some temperamental dragons, and then they're gonna start making mistakes and tripping over themselves. Then you got this dragon with the long neck who's gonna be in everybody's way just because he's weird and awkward, and it's just gonna be a mess. The Dance of the Dragons is gonna be less of a dance and more of an absolute bumblefuck disaster. And we get some of that bumblefuck disaster here. I think the coolest looking dragon right now is Dreamfire. They made Dreamfire so scary. I thought Dreamfire was supposed to be majestic and beautiful. Terrifying, actually. Look at this guy. Look at his toothy face and his fat gullet. I love him. Sheepstealer is such a cool design. Even his color's all patchy and stuff. He looks like a bloated alligator. Everybody in the Dragon Bumblefuck scene wants something. Rhaena wants to earn some favor back with Rhaenyra, who is super pissed off at both the sisters right now because, well, because of them, Jace is dead. Not just her heir, but a whole ass dragon and her son, you know? Rhaena wants to come back home and not have to worry about whether or not Rhaenyra is gonna behead her or not. I think that's what makes Rhaenyra snap on the White Worm later. Everybody thinks I'm a monster that's just gonna start lopping off heads. I'm not a monster that's gonna start lopping off heads. Why does everybody keep thinking that? And it's probably because you keep acting irrational to everyone you speak to, but go off, literal queen. Daemon doesn't want his daughter to be alone and isolated because it's driving her crazy. He sees that it's driving her crazy, and he knows what that's like. But she's like, hey, if I take out Vhagar with Sheepstealer, which, come on, have you seen Vhagar? I don't think that's gonna happen. Maybe she'll love me again. And Matt Smith's like, all right, we'll do it together. And fuck it, if we die, we die. Because at this point, Rhaenyra's gonna kill us anyway. Everybody's thinking pattern is Rhaenyra's just gonna kill us anyway. With all the dragons on screen like this, we can actually see all the sizes of the dragon. We can see that Rhaenyra's dragon seems to be the smallest one here, which doesn't bode well for her as the queen, you know? But she does have most of these dragons, air quotes, under her command, so she thinks. And she thinks that she has Alf and Hugh all sewn up. Hugh's probably like drowning in sorrow. Alf is having chats with the enemy. What Rhaenyra wants is for everybody to stop thinking that she's a monster that's just gonna behead them every time they tell her the truth, and also to make sure that she's perceived as the bestest and goodest girl ever, who killed her daughter. So what does she do now? Kill her daughter-in-law who killed her son accidentally, inadvertently? She wasn't the one that put the arrows in him, but she definitely was the reason he got shot down. All because she didn't know what she was fucking doing. If Rhaenyra didn't send her to live in the Vale, she wouldn't have Sheepstealer to begin with. So it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. And even Baela's like, look, Rhaenyra won't even look at me. So everybody's fighting for the queen's affections and attentions, and the queen herself is just fighting to be loved. And it's like, hey, how about you do anything to get that love and adoration? Again, Rhaenyra's wanting things, but she refuses to do what it takes to get them. And yeah, this is a lot. And it would be a lot on anybody, but that's what being the ruler is. It's a lot. This is what you wanted. This is what you were fighting for. Adam is here doing whatever it takes, whatever the queen needs to get what he wants, and that's his name, so that he can mack it to Baela, even though Baela is macking it to his brother and he doesn't know that yet, but he's starting to see that something's up, something's weird. He doesn't know what's weird or up yet, but something's up and weird, and that might just break him from Rhaenyra's service. We end up getting almost all of the dragons hurt here. Sheepstealer is not dead. He's heavily wounded though. Her dragon's heavily wounded. Sheepstealer will live as long as Rhaena lives. The dragons are magically connected to their riders in a way that I didn't think was possible. The end with Aegon kind of shows you that the dragons kind of feel what you're feeling and go through what you're going through. That whole time that Aegon was down on himself, the dragon was down on himself, and probably also taking time to heal. What do you need when you are hurt more than anything? Rest. The dragon was probably just resting. It was odd that the dragon wasn't completely decomposed, but it was looking rough because it got fucking lit up. So when Aegon finally found his strength, so did his dragon. So I'm sure that's also going to happen for Baela, even though Sheepstealer is messed the hell up right now. I don't think Rhaenyra's dragon is going to fare as good. I think Rhaenyra's weakness right now, in general, and her confusion and pain and struggle is going to harm her dragon physically. Unless Mysaria has the magic touch and has healed Rhaenyra's boo-boos inside and out, I think that dragon is toast. And now for the stupidest scene of the episode. We have Mysaria bringing, I believe, the madam of the whorehouse, and she's just doing a buddy, a friend, giving her a tour of the castle. But her friend is also like, yeah, you just wanted to also show off your new standing and all you got here. I don't think the guards would have let this shit happen. Yeah, Rhaenyra is gallivanting around and stuff and doing whatever, but I don't think the guards would be like, oh yeah, the madam, I know her personally, biblically. We'll let her in, totally. She totally can waltz around and hang around the throne room for no reason. This was weird and dumb. I get that it was for Mysaria to kind of get a reality check and go, hey, you don't forget where you came from, but I don't know if we needed it. The madam coming here and talking down to Mysaria like this at this point in time is kind of dumb and pointless, because it's like she's doing that to the detriment of everything. I would have thrown your ass in the black cells for that. Like, just the way that people talk to Rhaenyra, they would never talk to a dude that way. Daemon comes in here and for once, like, pours his heart out to Rhaenyra. He deceived you because he cared about his daughter, and it's in a way that she probably wishes her dad cared for her. But then Mysaria gets back in her good graces and gets into other things, if you know what I mean. When he first opened this box, I expected a big golden light to come out of it, but instead it's just his dad's finger. It's just Corlys's finger with his signet ring on. Also, Ormond goes into him about, oh man, how could you stand being around those Targaryens? You're being racist to him about his own people to his face? He probably sees the color of his skin and is like, you were married to one of those guys, but you're not one of those guys. And he's sitting over here with his white hair. My family is also from where they're from, you racist piece of shit. But your boy Corlys is not willing to work with them, and it looks like he's about to get his ass executed, or probably was executed. This is probably all that's left of him now. And now we have a clearer picture of what that kicked dog message in blood that Rhaenyra got was. It was about Ulf. Hey, so Alicent, where you going, friend? I heard that the King's Road is horrible, and we just saw an army marching on that road. And she can't stay here. She just poisoned her son, and Alice is gonna spend all her time trying to resurrect him. And I think she will. I think Alice might make him her zombie Dritz, which brings her Jack and Sally dreams even closer to reality. If he's actually a skeleton, that'll be even hotter. I don't know why, but that's pretty cool ass imagery. That looks rad as hell. I'll leave y'all to it. At this moment in the episode, I thought we were gonna get that, you know, silly TikTok music playing in the background, because I figured that this was going to be a joke, because this character, this Lannister, always, whenever he does anything or says anything, it's silly or funny. He's a punchline kind of guy. So when he turns around to the king and is straight up like, what are we gonna fucking do? I thought it was going to turn into a joke, but it turned into one of the most badass moments of the show. As soon as Larys leaves his side and stops whispering that worm tongue shit in his ear, he becomes himself. He becomes Aegon Targaryen. I love that the Lannister takes a knee, as in swearing fealty to the king, and also ducking because this dragon's gonna light everybody ass on fire. I also really like that the dragon got a makeover. It has now like a also half burned face like his master does. Again, the dragon's very connected to their masters, and I think this is a great look for this dragon. Do you think the dragon's gonna get a cool gold mask like Viserys too? I couldn't tell very well in the shots, but is this guy's sword a cutlass? Because if so, that's very good attention to detail. Outside of Dreamfire, this dragon looks the coolest. Yes, this was the prettiest, most beautiful dragon at once upon a time, but now it's the coolest and most badass dragon. I really hope they make this dragon a gold mask. I really do. They have the gold at Casterly Rock to make it. This particular shot is the best shot of the episode, and that includes the one dude, because it looks like a commercial for Tumbleton Ale. Tumbleton Ale. Good ale, that. Or you could have paused the scene completely, ran credits over it, and I would have thought it was just as funny. They're not that far. All they gotta do is walk over there, and yeah, maybe the dragon would destroy them, but Ulf's like, oh, I'll hear them out. They're bearing gifts. You and I both know Ulf, and we know he ain't showering. And because Ulf ain't showering, Ormond brought out these like tiki torch incense burners on sticks to both probably keep the mosquitoes away, and that's probably what he told Ulf. But because Ulf smells like shit and that dragon smells terrible, and I'm sure the horses smell bad and they're pooping all over the place, but I'm pretty sure it's mostly for Ulf. Even the way Ormond talks to him, he kind of, whenever he looks at him or looks away, it looks like he's dope ass actor award to the dude playing Ormond in this episode, just because of this scene. He does a great job of like trying not to gag on Ulf's stench while also whispering sweet nothings into his ear. This was a fantastic scene. I came around 360 on the Rhaena Targaryen story and just like, how could they not follow the words of Martin? But I think because George gave them the out of, these are all just hearsay stories about what happened, I think that has given them a lot of ground to play with. And play with it they did, and they didn't do a terrible job. I think sometimes the shows were slow. We got here, and this is great. 1 or 2 episodes after this, I think. So we're coming really close to the end. Things have to get really spicy, and spicy they have gotten. I gotta give this episode a solid A. Finally, an A. That's not true. I think I gave episode 1 or 2 an A as well. Nobody has earned fealty. Only Rhaenyra has lost it. I think Rhaenyra is not long for this world, as is her dragon. I think Aegon's back on track to going somewhere. I think Aemon's gonna be a zombie king soon, riding on Vhagar, which is gonna be dope as hell. That would be really cool. And we do get to see a couple other things. Yeah, I wanted to save Helaena the Dragon Rider for later, but oh man. In the books, we hear that Helaena really likes her dragon, so when finding out she doesn't really like her dragon in the show, I thought that was odd. But when these are the dreams she has, I'm like, hell yeah, Helaena, you like that dragon. And I think that this is one of Helena's dreams. One of those dreams that'll become a reality. I think this is the one part of her dream that'll actually come true. She is on that dragon and she is going to escape. She saw her petting that horse before on her escape to go live happy. I think the horse at the beginning of this episode is Dreamfire. From what I'm getting from this dream, she has her baby. It's very much like the scene where Rhaenyra's mom was giving birth and she died in childbirth. Only she gives birth, they take the baby away and she goes crazy, and finally Dreamfire reacts to her emotions and goes, that's it, everybody dies. Helena's gonna go full Rainies and kill a bunch of civilians with Dreamfire because she's gonna be that mad. She's gonna be like, fuck it, I don't have anything to lose, I don't have anything to live for. I'm never gonna have my beautiful farm. I'm never gonna have my happy life. Nobody else is gonna have it either. Also, can we talk about how cool this dragon looks? Damn, this is like the second coolest dragon that we've seen. And that bumps down poor Daeron's dragon to number 3 in the cool dragons list. Yeah, Helena's dragon is the coolest. The second coolest dragon is her brother Aegon. And then the third coolest dragon is Daeron. So yeah, Alicent's kids lucked out with the coolest looking dragons. Cause yeah, Vhagar's a badass too, but she's big and that's awesome, but she doesn't look as cool as these guys. We could have had a good time. We could have had a good happy life, but no. I don't like the look of that eclipse. Eclipses in fantasy are never good, except for an Avatar. Aang didn't get to capitalize on that, so the eclipse didn't do great for him either. But the eclipse is also followed by a massive snowstorm. The eclipse is also followed by winter. She mentioned before that the butterflies were being weird, not of season. I don't know if a winter happens in Fire and Blood, and if it does, that's pretty fucking crazy. That's pretty dope. It would be the sign that the people need to overthrow Rhaenyra, that's for sure. But yeah, but this episode had everything. It had a dream, it had betrayal, it had the steps of betrayal where we talk about stuff we shouldn't be talking about out in the open on them steps. We had cabinet meeting drama, and almost all of the dragons that are alive in the known world were in this episode, which is pretty cool. I think we were only missing about 4 living dragons that we didn't see on screen. That's because 2 of them we'd never seen, which is Cannibal, I think, and then there's another wild dragon that I'm missing. I can't remember its name. And then there's the 2 dragons in this episode we didn't see, Vhagar, who is mysteriously absent, and we don't see Huge Dragon either. This is the most excited and G'd up I've been for another episode of this show since the 2nd episode of this season, so I'm hoping that they keep up this momentum. The show isn't bad, it's just frustrating to watch all these people make dumbass mistakes, but you do need characters to make mistakes for conflict. You do need characters being straight up evil for conflict. Those aren't the things I'm upset about. I'm just like, damn Rhaenyra, how do you keep falling further and further into being inept and bad at this? Heavy is the head that wears the crown, man. If you ran away with Alicent, you would have probably had a better time. But that's it for this one. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me. Send this to your friends, send it to your enemies, subscribe. We're trying to get to a subscriber milestone of about 500, and then I'll have a discussion like this for the first X-Men movie. If there's a massive problem in front of you, break it down into smaller parts and attack it. I love you.